Fed seize $3.6 billion in stolen Bitcoin. Arrest New York City couple in the DOJ's largest crypto bust to date. The United States government has said it has found people attempting to launder the proceeds from the Bitfinex hack. And what people they've found. Not only do they have $3.6 billion in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, they're also a rapper who has an online career where they have more pizzazz than Genghis Khan. And the government's holding on to their frozen embryos, so their lawyer says that they won't run out of town because this is the only place they can get frozen embryos for their future. Dan, Eve, this couple, they may have stolen the Bitfinex money. They might have social engineered it. Maybe they got it off the hacker. Nobody knows, but they were trying to launder $4.5 billion in Bitcoin, and it didn't work out.
Oh,
What do
man,
you think?
it's crazy. I mean, last week we were talking about uh, proof of keys day, and things evolve so fast. It's now like proof of embryos day. Like you've got to keep your own embryos, right? Otherwise, the government can seize them. Just like with your Bitcoin, you need to have your own private keys. Otherwise, the government can seize it or not. Like this. One thing that's interesting about this is it flies in the face of everyone saying, or all the these articles saying, oh, Bitcoin, it's used for money launderers and scavenge, what's the word, money launderers and criminals and blah blah blah, because they can get away with hiding all these funds. And actually, Bitcoin is it's quite traceable. It's a public ledger, and these people not only were traced down, but they've managed to have the most assets seized in history, second to someone linked to the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, which is a shame. That Bitcoin's up there with the Madoff seizure, obviously. But the fact is that it flies in the face of anyone that says that it can be used for money laundering because it's traceable. It's a public ledger. They were caught out by doing stuff like I think they used it for Walmart, so they were pretty kind of blasé about the whole thing. Yes, for gift cards, I think they bought a PlayStation or something like that. But Razzle Khan's quite interesting. I was watching. She writes for Forbes, right? So not only does she do this sort of rapping thing, and
she also had a famous online presentation. It was something like how to social engineer your way into anything. And it was just unbelievable, slide after slide, describing their social engineering skills.
Oh, she was pretty blatant about it as well, like the crocodile of Wall Street, and I think it's quite funny. You watch some of the videos, and they're obviously comedy, right? I don't think she's a serious rapper, but the Bitfinex are going to be shareholders are going to be quite happy, right? Because they're going to have a lot of Bitcoin flowing back to them. Do you think, or is
it's interesting because
if going to take that?
If anyone can remember back, Bitfinex was one of the ones where they printed their own debt token. So they gave all their customers who were robbed that debt token. Then the debt token went down in value, and they bought their own debt back at a lower price. So it really worked out well for Bitfinex, the company. I don't know about any of the people that had their money there, and I don't know what they do now because they've kind of been compensated already with this debt token. Maybe the company just keeps the money. And as far as the U.S. government, I don't know if they give you back all the Bitcoins, or maybe just the value it was, when it was stolen. We keep the rest. What do you think?
That's a really interesting question. I think so. First question: does anybody remember what the debt token was called and what's it trading at? Because if those they should the money that was stolen was Bitcoin, not dollars. So the lawyers should definitely try to get the billions of dollars. Now, how long is the DOJ gonna take to give this back? I mean, we're still waiting for the empty Gox money to return to its rightful owners, right? So it could take years, right? But possibly, right? But yeah, people, what Bitfinex did was they issued a token as debt to their asset holders, and then people traded it and sold it for pennies in the dollar, right, to kind of get something out of it. And then other people traded it up and accumulated it, right? People speculated on that debt. And so now what happens? I think that's going to be an interesting sort of side story to this. But
well, and it was a really major move in Bitcoin where everyone always talks about not printing your own money. Here's a company that printed their own money, distributed it, wiped out a debt, for all we know, bought the debt back at a lower price, and now gets to keep the money. This could be studied in business school forever. This was,
Yeah.
again, it's one of those Facebook move fast and break things. And they moved fast, they broke everything, and it doesn't seem like it mattered.
Simon Dixon called it they reinvented bankruptcy. That's what Simon Dixon called it.
It is
I
huge,
thought it
but
was
now
a smart way to put it.
let's get to the technical aspects. Ben Ark, they used to have BitGo, and they had a BitGo system where every time money was withdrawn, it would check with a third party, BitGo, to make sure that you had the 2FA, and then it would do the withdrawals. Obviously, someone turned this off, deactivated it, took it out of the code, and then they were allowed to withdraw as much as they want. Was this a technical hack on Bitfinex? Or do you think somebody called somebody on the phone, sent out some emails,
I think
did
that was
some social
Bitstamp.
engineering?
I think that was Bitstamp.
Different
That
one?
wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't the Bitfinex hack. I think that was the Bitstamp one.
I mean,
If I remember it,
we were
yeah.
talking before the show about auditing, and how these auditors audit code. They look at it and then you don't know what's going to go wrong with code. So I mean, Bitfinex's back end had some big hole in it. Like they'd audit it, they look at it, and it's not until it's out there in the wild these things get hacked, which is why you should hold your own funds if you can and go with an exchange like Baltoro or Kraken, which has been running for a long time and has proved that they can actually hold on to their customers' funds properly. But now with Bitfinex, a lot of people who had their funds on there, they were getting yield back from staking their coins, weren't they? And there's a lot of people I know who lost a lot of money on there, and then they got that shitcoin token which they were given, and they lost a lot of money because they did sell it, but they sold it for a lot less than the funds were which they had taken. So it would be very interesting to see whether they actually get the funds back. I don't think they will, and if they do, then it will definitely be the dollar value. It wouldn't be the Bitcoin value of the funds which was taken. Obviously, that would be incredible if they did do that, because for all these people, it would be almost like a savings account or something, because you get these Bitcoins back when they're worth so much more money. I think it was $71 million worth of Bitcoin, which was stolen originally, the 200,000 Bitcoin, and now it's worth 3.6 billion, which is an astronomical amount of money.
No more,
yeah,
4 point something.
4.5, wasn't it? Well,
I do think the government is going to have to give them.
seized.
I think they're going to have to give them all the
seized.
Bitcoin, though. I do think that all the Bitcoin's coming back. The question is if the company distributes them or if these debt tokens got them out of their requirement. I mean, if you've already been paid debt tokens, why should you get Bitcoin?
Because I'm a victim of Mt. Gox.
Yeah.
I did take an interest in how Bitfinex dealt with their hack, and I kind of found it fascinating, actually, the way that they issued. First of all, the BFX token, but they went ahead then and created something called recovery right token or something like that. There was this second token which hack victims took a share in another company called iFinix. There's a whole like layers of it, but then this is the interesting one. Then in like around 2019, they created another token called Leo, something like that, and Leo, the promise was if any funds get recovered from the hack, they will buy Leo tokens and burn them with those funds.
Oh wow,
so
that's contractual. Yeah. I mean, they were like bringing up Mt. Gox. I mean, this was the interesting part, was that they didn't just have to close shop and then everyone lose their money and it all goes to lawyers and litigators and whatever else. They were able to continue to operate, even though a lot of Bitcoiners lost huge chunks of money. Like with Mt. Gox, it was just game over as soon as they were hacked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting. The lawyers are still munching through all that, the money that's owed on the little bit that
Well, I do have an update on my exciting Mt. Gox coins. They've been sending me emails for, what has this been, 5 years, 7 years, something like that. And I finally got around to where I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to log in. I'm going to find out how much money they owe me. And for all these emails they've been sending, it must be something, right? There's 60 cents. 60 cents in there. And they're still going to send me 10 more emails, all in Japanese, followed by a translation, like over and over again for the 60 cents. I don't even know that they could give it back to me in dollars. So maybe someday I'll get a check. But I'm still holding out for that.
Well, the worst part of that whole Mt. Gox deal is they had all these creditors that are owed, And the Mt. Gox team found 200,000 Bitcoin behind the couch, or something like that, 20,000 or some amount. And since then, they were basically going to sell all those Bitcoin, but that would absolutely crush the market, and it did. We saw 2017 got blamed, the dump on 2017, the bear market got blamed for being triggered by the first sell-off of these coins, and everyone went, whoa, can you not just do a market order with this shit? Like, can you just, you know, ask some people in the know? Anyway, and then basically Mark went through the courts or something and went for another mechanism, some sort of legal instrument in Tokyo to then basically make it so that the creditors can get the Bitcoin back rather than getting fiat equivalent back. And this all got passed. Everyone's now signed it and said, yay, let's do it. But the biggest thing that stopped that is a company out of the US, which Mark was trying to partner with. And this company has been basically trying to sue Mt. Gox for everything, like billions and billions, saying that we would have been as big as Coinbase if you hadn't screwed up. And it's like, hang on, so you're trying to screw every creditor for your strange fake ass dream world where somehow your business did as good as Coinbase, if only. And anyway, so they've been basically holding everyone at ransom, and this is why it's taken so super long. So I've kind of found it interesting how Bitfinex dealt with that. I don't think it was perfect. I certainly don't think that, but I do think it was an interesting way, because everything in crypto is all about trying new things, trying things better than the old way, rather than these companies just going bust and going through 15, 20 years of legals, while lawyers are basically taking as long as they want, and the longer they take, the better for them, because they chew through all that money. And rather than that, them just going, okay, let's tokenize the debt. I found it